Arthur Finch lived a quiet life in Oak Creek, Colorado. At 28, he found solace in the predictable routines of his days, and his greatest joy came from his two German shepherds, an intelligent and energetic pair he adored. They were still young, a year old, and in that boisterous phase where boundless energy met a certain clumsy exuberance, a phase Arthur affectionately called their velociraptor phase. Living in an apartment meant that their need for wide-open spaces was a constant challenge, a puzzle Arthur diligently solved by taking them to a large, undeveloped field on the outskirts of town. This field, usually deserted except for the occasional dog walker, was their sanctuary. Arthur made it a point to go early in the morning, ensuring they had the space to themselves, their powerful legs stretching out, their happy barks echoing in the crisp air. He always kept their harnesses on, ready to grasp the leads at a moment's notice, a silent promise of control and responsibility. One particular morning, as the sun began to paint the sky with soft hues of orange and pink, Arthur was enjoying their usual ritual. His dogs, tails wagging furiously, were exploring the dew-kissed grass. Then he spotted a woman approaching with a small, yappy dog. Arthur, ever cautious, called his German shepherds to his side and steered them further away, a silent gesture of de-escalation. But the woman didn't just continue her walk, she began to head directly towards them. A knot of unease tightened in Arthur's stomach. He gently pulled his dogs closer, secured their leashes, and had them sit calmly beside him, their large frames an imposing, yet usually gentle, presence. The woman kept coming, her small dog now a frantic blur of noise and motion, a high-pitched, insistent yapping that set Arthur's dogs on edge. They weren't aggressive, but a past trauma involving an off-leash dog attack had left them wary, their trust a fragile thing. Arthur called out, a polite request for her to keep her distance, explaining that his dogs were nervous. Yet she pressed on, her face set in a determined line. "Well," she finally said, her voice sharp, "since you're going to let your dogs run around without leashes, and they're a dangerous breed, it should be fine if I let mine run around too, right?" Arthur was stunned. They were in a vast, empty field with not another soul in sight. His dogs were leashed, and he was being responsible. The small dog's incessant barking grated on his nerves, amplifying his dog's anxiety. The woman seemed intent on confrontation, her words like little barbs. Overwhelmed, Arthur made the difficult decision to cut their outing short. He gathered his disappointed dogs, their eager energy now a heavy weight in the car. As he drove away, tears of frustration and embarrassment pricked his eyes. Being a large dog owner was a constant balancing act, a burden of perception and precaution. He understood the responsibility, the need to be extra careful, but still, to be treated with such suspicion and hostility felt deeply unfair. As he sat in his car, catching his breath, he glanced back, and then he saw it. The woman with a triumphant smirk had just let her yappy dog off its leash. She wanted the field all to herself. A primal surge, a raw and unfamiliar anger, washed over Arthur. Something inside him snapped. He rolled down his car windows, leaving his dogs safely inside for just a moment, and began to walk, then stride, then march directly towards her. He didn't have a plan, just a burning need to respond. As he got closer, a thought, a dark whisper in his mind, urged him on. And then Arthur Finch, the quiet man from Oak Creek, let out a guttural bark, a sound that ripped through the morning air and began to chase the small, yapping dog. The world erupted into chaos. Arthur, moving with a surprising agility, mirrored the dog's frantic movements, his own barks echoing the pug's terrified yelps. The woman shrieked, her voice a high-pitched terror, and tried to grab her unleashed pet, stumbling after Arthur in a clumsy, desperate attempt to intervene. But Arthur, driven by a potent mix of fury and a strange sense of liberation, was too quick, too focused. In the midst of the pandemonium, the small dog, desperate to escape its pursuer, darted between the woman's legs. The unexpected obstacle sent her sprawling, a clumsy, flailing heap on the grass, like an overturned turtle. Arthur didn't wait to see more. He turned and ran, a surge of adrenaline and an odd sense of vindication coursing through him. He sprinted back to his car, the woman's continued screams fading behind him. He drove off, his heart pounding, the strange, wild energy of the encounter leaving him exhilarated. He bought his dogs pup cups, their confusion momentarily overshadowing his own turmoil. They ended up going for a walk, a task that usually felt like a wrestling match, but today Arthur barely felt the tug. He was still riding the wave of a bizarre, almost cathartic release, a feeling of finally standing up for himself and his beloved companions. The quiet man from Oak Creek had, for a fleeting moment, embraced his inner primal roar.